everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you everyone for tuning in today, live, Facebook Live, with Coming Up with the Prophet. I am Prophet Evan Majors. I'm so happy to have everyone on today. We have so many of our viewers. I'm actually holding the iPad so I can see everyone and so I can still interact with everyone and still have this more personable. I want to say hello to some of our viewers. Rashida Oliver, Datlika Townsend. We see my niece Moni Gospel Girl. I need everyone to share. Come on, share and like. We see Devon Robinson. Come on, everyone, share and like. We have an awesome broadcast on today. We're going to be very much interactive. Come on, share and like. Hello, we see Lamont Smith. Hello, everyone. Share and like. I'm so happy to have everyone on the broadcast on today with Coming Up with the Prophet. I'm telling you, this is the season that God wants his people to come up in every area of his life. Hallelujah. We see my friend Anthony Sledge. We see Alicia Sanders. We see Elder Bolden. Hello, welcome to Coming Up with the Prophet. Again, this is going to be an awesome show on today. I know a lot of you guys been seeing a lot of my feeds and be seeing a lot of my posts. We have Come Up with the Prophet. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. All you have to do is type in your search engine, Come Up with the Prophet. That's our YouTube channel. We're going to be having some awesome things. I'm pretty sure you saw the flyers. I need everyone to like and share the flyers. You can also continue to follow me on Prophet Evan Majors Ministries page on Facebook. Again, that is Prophet Evan Ministries page on Facebook, as well as Come Up with the Prophet on subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can continue to follow me here. Again, I need you guys to share. Come on, you guys, I want you guys to share. This is going to be an awesome segment today. We're keeping it real with the Prophet. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about my cooking with the Prophet. That will air on next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And I have an awesome recipe for you guys. So we're gonna be going in and out with we're gonna go in and out. With sometimes it's gonna be cooking with the Prophet. Sometimes it's gonna be keeping it real with the Prophet. And then there's gonna be other times Image Matters, where we're gonna have some makeup artists and some doing hair and things of that nature. Because what I believe in this season, God wants us to come up in an area of our lives and our finances and our image and our health. In our homes, in our ministries. Again, this is come up. Everything about us should be able to come up in this season. So today's topic, and we're also going to, if you guys can write this number down, we're going to be taking live callers on today. And the number that you'll be able to call when that segment, when we open up the lines, that number will be 762-533-0166. Again, the number is 762-533-0166. Again, if someone can type that number out so everyone can see it in the chat, I would so gladly appreciate it on today. Again, when I will let you know when we open up the lines so you guys can begin to call and we can you can ask some questions. So anyway, let's get right on in today's topic. We're waiting for our guest. She should be on shortly in any moment. So a lot of my staff, if you guys can give me some type of signal to let me know when she's on so we can include her in the conversation. Today, we are going to be discussing something I believe that is very prevalent in the church, which is divorce. And divorce, I believe, is one of which, and to be honest with you, it should not be so high in the Christian community. But unfortunately, divorce is very high in the Christian community. And one thing about it is a lot of people never knew I was married for some years. I have two lovely children, Josiah and Renaya. Both are from the same marriage. And so we're going to begin. Today's guest is actually going to be my ex-wife. And some of the things that we're going to be touching on today is, what happened. It's not, like really letting anybody into our business, but we want to really talk about, what really happened. I want to also put out there that we, Prophet Evan Majors Ministries, nor Prophet Evan Majors condone or believe in divorce. I want to go out there to let that be known. I do not condone nor do I believe in divorce. So I do not want anybody to take this as Prophet Majors is talking about divorce and it's okay or things of that nature. No, this is not a belief system. I'm just going to begin to enlighten some of my viewers on, I believe that sometimes mistakes that we make, will help somebody else. And so one of the areas that I want to discuss again is divorce. Is anything yet? Okay. All right. And so anyway, I was married for some time. And again, I loved my wife. At the time when we met, I was coming out of how shall you say this? A very bad place of depression and suicide. When I met her, I knew that she was supposed to be my wife. And so when I met her in the church, she was a pastor, she was a PK's daughter and things of that nature. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful at X, Y, and Z. But now I need you guys to understand something, because there was a key point that I want to point out is when I met her. And let me talk to the young ladies. You inspired to be married so much that you're looking for a husband when he should be looking for you. And to be honest, a lot of you guys are also looking for husbands that are already married, and I know that that's just number one is a no-go. And so I need you guys to really understand that the key thing with a lot of you, a lot of the young women, is I want you to understand is that a husband will find you. You don't have to go looking for him. You don't have to go and sell your behind, your tail, or things of that nature. But I believe that you're, a real man. The Bible says, "He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor." And so a lot of the times, we're a lot of the time the younger generations, they become desperate to marry, and they become begging, and they sell themselves with sex or short skirts or things of that nature. But again, when I first met her, I knew that I would marry her. And so now I'm gonna just be a little bit more transparent here. When I met her, she had no interest in me. She told me she was not interested. She did not want to be married to me or anything else of the nature. It was just like, but again, I felt that God was saying that was my wife. So I was just relentless. I was going after her. I was talking to her. And I wound up finding her number from another mutual friend. And he was like, well, she's right here. And so at that time, what I did was she gave me her number, but she was kind of playing hard to get, So when I finally started to talk to her and things of that nature, it was funny because I would call her and she would tell her sister to say she's not home, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, really? So what happened was, as I was chasing her for some time, she never, I was chasing her for some time, and I lost my train of thought. I was chasing her for some time, and she was like, how should I say? She was very standoffish. So finally, I got tired of chasing her. So I said, listen here, how I'm going to get her is I'm going to go out on a date with somebody else. And I remember it was Valentine's Day. And I wound up taking this other girl on a date. And when we went on the date, she was calling me because now it's Valentine's Day. And I guess she had a date that day. And so she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm out. I'm on a date. I'll call you back. And you know, then the next thing you know, she would call me, and I'm like, well, I'm busy right now. And so finally, I started giving her like the cold shoulder. And so when I started giving her the cold shoulder, she was like, finally she gave in. And she gave in actually at a service. And I went to the service and I saw her again. And after the service, I was leaving out, and she yelled for me, and she just planted like this really huge kiss on me or whatever, and then she stuck money in my suit pocket, and then she slapped me on my chest, and she like I don't know why, but I think I'm falling in love with you, and so. After that time, we started talking, and now I'm going to be even more transparent. And it's funny. And again, but this is keeping it real with the prophet. So one day, I invited her over for Thanksgiving, and so immediately when I invited her over for Thanksgiving, I just I'm seeing some people, Preston. There she is. She's coming on right now. Okay. Alrighty, she is here, and she could come in on the conversation. This is my ex-wife. This is Sheba Mitchell, Prophetess Sheba Mitchell.
Hello? Oh, y'all got to turn the other way today, huh?
Yeah, we got to turn the other way, but I can see you.
This is weird.
You said it's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. I want you guys to welcome her today. This is Prophetess Sheba Mitchell. This is my friend, as well as my ex-wife. I want everybody to say hello to her. We're going to get started on the conversation. I was just telling them how we met.
Mm-hmm.
I met you in the service, and you did not want any nothing to do with me, pretty much.
That's what you told them, Lord.
A mutual friend, and I contacted the mutual friend to get in contact with you. And when I got the mutual friend to get in contact with you, they said that you were around. And I want to also add, now this is the funny part, because when how are we going to say this? When I first met her, do you remember you had put on I was really into like
my white stockings.
Yeah, she had on. She thought she was going to impress me, so she put on this yellow dress, these white stockings, and she had on these black velour
sandals,
high heel stilettos, and then she put lipstick on her eyelashes.
On my lids.
She put lipstick on her eyelashes.
Mind you, I was 17. I think I was 17.
Yeah. So she was 17, and she thought she was gonna impress me. So now, anyway, fast forward.
I got fixed up.
No, you was not fixed up. You was not fixed up. You looked it weird, but it was the E for effort.
Not weird.
It was the E for effort. Anyway, let's fast forward. So we finally met, and I told them after a while you was playing hard to get, and then finally one day you said that she said she loved me, and then we started talking, and then a lot of the times you know, we're being young. She was 17. I think I was, what, 21?
You're probably 22. What? How many years older? You're 5 years, right?
I don't,
5 years.
I don't know.
Aren't you
Put it this
81?
way. Huh?
You're 81, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so you were
5 years.
22. You got me by 5.
Right. I was 22. Now, mind you, she told me a story. Tell that truth. She told me a story. She told me she was older. And I found out she wasn't. She was about to be 18.
Right.
And so I was mad about that, number one. So I was 22, she was 17. And
Bye,
so,
hun.
but the good thing about it, it was permitted by her mother or whatever. So I don't want y'all thinking that prophets like this pedophile person
No.
or whatever.
Matter of fact, I might have been 18 already because, let's see, my birthday's in May. I was still in high school, but I might have been 18.
Wait, no, because I'm December. So you was getting ready to turn, I just turned 22 and you was about to turn 18.
I was, yeah, because that party
Yeah.
you threw me.
Right. So I want you guys to like and share this. We're really talking some awesome stuff on tonight. So anyway, let's fast forward. So again, as you can see, we were very young. And what happened was we were young, two different parts of the world. You know, she was upstate New York. I you know, at that time I was coming out of you know, New York City, so I was a little bit more I guess you could say more street. She was street the other way. She was a hood chick. And then let me tell y'all something. When I prayed to God, I said, God, give me a woman that's hood and a woman that is in the church. Now, let me tell you something. God really does answer prayer because he gave me a hood chick, but I didn't want her to be hood with me.
Yeah.
I didn't want her to be hood with me.
Right.
And so, now Deirdre talk about New York City, but country city. Talk about I'm country. But I wanted a hood chick. And so what happened was, anyway, fast forward, me and her, we were together. I wound up moving into to a place called Albany, New York, is where she lived. And so at that time, you know, us being very young, I mean, again, this is keeping real with the prophet. We were having sex before marriage, you know, all of the kind of crazy stuff. And so the thing about it was, we were also in ministry. The both of us were in ministry,
Right.
And so that's another thing that that I don't know, you know, I think she would agree with me, is we knew we would marry each other, but not that fast. Am I right?
Right.
You know, and so we were, and again, that's one of the biggest pet peeves. I think that sometimes the Pentecostal church, you know, helps for failure is, you know, hey, they're not again, you know, the ministry was an awesome ministry. It's not nothing slighting the ministry, but it was very big on like, I guess, you know, wedlock stuff, and it was very big, which is a lot of the Pentecostal churches are. But we were in ministry, and they said, our pastor said, hey, you guys cannot be in ministry and y'all having sex. So we like, okay, so y'all gonna need to do something about this. And so it was like, and I remember it to this day. It was we had like sweatpants, pajamas, because we had just got up out of the bed. We was going to go to Bible study on a Saturday, correct?
It was the camp that we had.
It was a camp?
Yeah.
It was a camp, you're right. And so we was going to go to the camp that the church had. And when we went to the camp, we literally walked in the door, and our pastor was like, hey, Anya, Evan, come here. So we went, and they was like, well, you know, you guys can't be in ministry, and y'all having sex, and no. Evan, are you going to marry her? I'm like, yeah. And Anya, do you want to marry him? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so do it now. And we would look like, huh? Okay. So we literally got married at that moment inside of a office in our pajamas.
Right.
Am I right?
Correct.
And so anyway, um the problem with that was, and people would really want to know, is the problem with that was is that we were young. We were set in our ways. We never had counseling. Nobody has ever told us this is what you do, this is what you don't do. So what happened was they set us up for failure. There was two children, literally young adults, that had issues on the outside of each other.
Right.
Um, you know, I had my issues, she had her issues, and although we were good friends, I mean, put it this way, it was like when we were good, we were great.
Right.
When we were bad, we was horrible. Um, and you know, so I believe that so now you have these two people. Now we're having our first child. We know nothing about being on our own. No, we know nothing about marriage. We did not really have good examples of marriage in front of us.
Right.
And now we're married, and now we don't know how to deal with marital issues, such as money.
Right.
We didn't know how to deal with how to handle money. And on top of that, I was very both of us had strong personalities. And so me being dominating, she's also dominating, but me being old school, can't no woman tell me nothing. It is whatever I say, that's the end of it. But then she come out of a dominating nature of women. So it was like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. For a back of a letter words, nigga, I'll slap you. And she would.
Cut it out.
And she and this is and again, thank you, Michael. And she did. And so now we're having issues, and we're having problems. So Sheba, what do you think was some of our issues that you can say, or problems within the marriage?
Well, I think the first major thing that would come to mind. This is so weird. I'm sorry, like the angle bugs me out, but I'll do my best. So I think the first thing that comes to mind with it was just that I think we were too young. I'll say we, but I'll speak for myself when I say there's so many transitions. And I mean, you used to tell me all the time, like when you turn 21, it'll be different. And when you turn 25, it'll be different. But of course, when you're young, you tend to not listen to those who go before you. So I figured, oh, that's just his experience, not wanting to agree there necessarily. I think that just not, there was no like leave and cleave kind of thing when you have, family either living with us or family in close proximity. That had become kind of a burden because a lot of voices, creating more and more confusion. But I think the biggest thing that kind of affected me was just not really knowing exactly who I was. I understood who I was as a PK. I understood who I was in this church system. But I didn't know who I was as a woman, as an individual, and having my own relationship with God. And so I think that that's the one major thing that affected us. And then secondly, the outside voices, just the constant opinions, the constant microscope, you cannot get away from people and their opinions. And when you're young and you're in a system to where obedience is constantly better than sacrifice, you kind of automatically obey. So you're almost thrown around with every wind and every doctrine. Somebody say this today, you do that because you're obeying. Somebody say that tomorrow, you obey that because you're obeying, you know, and that's kind of the narrative in a lot of church settings, you know, especially as children coming up, you know, when you're born and bred into this, it can take away from you the opportunity to understand how to make choices and decisions, because even outside of marriage, as a woman, you know, even at 30 going on 32 years old, I still very much am learning how to speak and find my voice with authority, and to tell people no, that doesn't work for me, or no, I cannot do that, or no, that's not what I want to do. So honestly, even, you know, throughout the marriage right up until the very end, it was this, okay, I had to like kind of step away and try to find who I was and actually make a sound decision in what I was doing, so that I could get myself together and actually know within my psyche that this was a choice that I had made, and that's what I was going to do solidly. Because otherwise, being in the church and just having people make the decisions for you, because right up until, you know, the time that we chose to even get married, it wasn't our choice. Again, someone else making that choice. And you know, having seen people be told to either have children and maybe not have children, or, you know, just a lot of different things of where other people's voices very much so influence, you know, and not saying that people necessarily had a battery in their back, but influence is influence. You understand what I'm saying? And the bottom line is that we respect our leaders, we look up to our leaders, and you know, as much as they may want to deny it, the bottom line is their opinions and what they say affects the people that they lead, you know. So a lot of what I saw and heard throughout my life affected my decisions without me understanding, number one, the full responsibility of it, and number two, the repercussions of it, or even being groomed to either say, well, you know, there is these stages that you go through. Like, I feel like the church is really lacking in telling children who are coming up through the system that life is going to happen, that the world is going to happen, and it may hit you unexpectedly, and we are here for you. We're there. It's almost like they'll get you married off, and then you're stuck to figure it out from there, or they'll let you get divorced and you'll figure it out from there. You know, just you know, even thinking about the divorce, it was like, well, where'd everybody go? Because it seemed like everybody was there when you were married, but as soon as you make this other decision, everybody goes and they choose sides. And I thought they loved us both, and all of a sudden people start to pick sides, and some people play both sides, and it's so scary. So those are some of the things that just really threw everything for a loop, to where it just.
And I want to also add, what made it very difficult for the both of us is because there was never, and I believe, and I want to help somebody with this. When you're married to somebody and you're married to people that are in ministry, you have to separate the two. You know, and a lot of the times, you know, because again, we were married young, and our pastor was my mother-in-law and my wife's my ex-wife's mother. But then, you know, I'm husband and prophet, she's wife, prophetess, and then, you know, we would get home and either we trying to follow the instructions of what our mother would say or our pastor would say, and then it became, you know, instead of having a husband and wife disagreement, it became battle of the prophets.
Right. Not knowing
You
how
know,
to switch those hats of,
right,
the differences between who you are in ministry or who you are professionally and actually coming home and being a wife, or coming home and being a
right,
mother, learning how to switch those hats.
right. Because a lot of the times, um, because I want fellas to know that, as a man, and when you get home to talk to your wife or things of that nature, and because the Bible says that a wife is the helpmeet, and it's the man's job to train, instruct, and teach, and not dictate. And what I did was, because I was born again, I was a man, and again, and I'm going to show you guys something, because my past life of where I come from, not really nobody showed me how to be a man. I thought being a man was a loud mouth. I thought being a man was vicious, no feeling, no, everything. This what I say go, that dominating. And a lot of the times, again, that's another topic, is that when a lot of the times when young men are growing up in a single family home with, a mama and things of that nature, and they don't have really strong male figures in their lives, you take on an idea of how a man is supposed to be, or how a husband is supposed to be, because again, nobody is telling you these things, nobody's teaching you things. And so I began to embrace a thought of how a man should be. A husband is loud, a husband is, this is what I say, go. But all along, I did not know I was creating a distrust, a fear, a dictatorship, a rulership, a what else? A fear.
I just want to
Um,
add something.
yeah,
Um, and even with that being said, the flip side of that becomes that because the church is so full of women and households are so full of women, many of us are getting married, but we have no clue about what authority is. We
right,
have no clue about how to understand and comprehend the voice of a man. It's very foreign, because although there tends to be, quote unquote, fathers in the gospel, many of them
right,
are not, personal like that. You happen to be one that is very personal and close with the girls, the younger women of your church, to kind of like guide them so that they are familiar. But honestly, all of these broken homes, we're all growing up without
right,
a father, which, is why I absolutely needed my children to have their father, because
right,
if it's going to be broken, the least I can do is make sure that you know the voice of a father, because mama's always, going to be there. But there is a certain, I feel like, warfare just against fathers in general. And
right,
that, again, is another topic. But, we are foreign to that voice. So the women almost become mannish. I become mannish. And I have these strong women in my family. So it's almost like you don't have to listen to that. You don't have to take that.
right,
And
right,
and it turns into something else, and you don't mean it, but that's exactly what it ends up becoming, because you have no clue what that man's voice is supposed to sound like, or what that authority is supposed to feel and be like.
right. You're right. You're right. And so it became the, again, war of the prophets, war of control, and again, and I don't slight really my mother-in-law, but then it became, then my wife, she goes to her mother, and a woman, has a right to go, talk to her mother about things, and then a mother, which happens to be my pastor, is now responding sometimes like a mother, and then sometimes like a prophetess, because she was also a prophetess and a pastor. And so I believe that a lot of the reasons where it came to our breakup was one, too many people in the ears, and not really setting boundaries. Nobody set it about, nobody set a boundary, from me to my wife, to my mother-in-law, to and it was weird because this is the funny part, because I was gonna say my brother-in-law, but the funny part was my brother-in-law was always on my side. He was, and I still love him to this day, Stanley. He was always on my side, and you would think that, okay, a brother and you know, this man with his sister, nah, he was always on my side. Every time something happened, he was like, listen, y'all better stop doing this to my, at the time he called me fat boy, you know, and I was his brother-in-law. I mean, and so that was some of the things that really, I guess, can tear up marriages, ladies, is that you have to put a boundary. You have to really, you know, and again, it's hard being in ministry. When you go home, save that prophetic word for your leader. You know, you don't need to be the one to give a word. You don't need to be the one to give a dream all the time, you know. And I think that's where it became, because I already had issues in ministry. I felt like nobody would hear me in ministry. I had a lot of insecurities in God, you know, within myself. So now I have this woman who is trying to tell me something. I'm like, yo, listen, not only you don't listen in the house, you don't listen in ministry either, because now you're trying to tell me what to do in ministry. You telling me what you ain't going to do at the house. You know, you want to talk about, listen. And another thing, I want to back up, because she was not a cook. She did not cook. And I believe where that came from was because I was always able to cook. And it came from, I remember one day she had, I asked for noodles, you remember?
Yeah.
And, I said, make noodles, huh?
Yeah, I remember.
You do remember?
Yeah.
I told her to make some noodles. And when I told her to make the noodles, she put a whole bunch of water in it, and it was soft. And I looked at it and I said, I don't want this. And I used the word. And she told me, and mind you, she was hood. She said, nigga, I'll never cook for you again.
Mind you, that's how I ate my noodles. It's soup.
Right. And so when she said she never gonna cook again, she meant it. So now we go through life. Now I'm complaining that, oh yeah, she won't cook. Now she was a worker. She worked all the time. She won't cook, XYZ, and I'm complaining about this, but I did not know that. Now I know I created an atmosphere in the beginning of the marriage that showed a level of discomfort. And so again, you know, when you're newlyweds, you're getting to know your spouse and things of that nature. You have to be very careful about the atmospheres that you set and the things that you say, because it can cause a little warfare later on. But again, look at Derek.
Yeah, I'm looking. He's so funny.
He is funny. But again, we're going to I know right now it's 8:40 and our show is only an hour long. We want to take some callers. The number again is 762-533-0166. Again, it's 762-533-0166. You can call. The phone lines are now open. If you have any questions, or if you want to comment concerning this, or even ask me a question, or even ask Prophetess Sheba Mitchell a question, we'll be happy to to take some calls. So again, you want the number is on is 762-533-0166.
I
So call
think
me
it's
before. Yes.
I think it's nice. Did you get a call yet?
Not yet. Go ahead.
Okay, until then, um, I think it'll really benefit people just to see like how I tell people all the time, like we chipped away at even just like after the turmoil, after the
Right.
separation, after the divorce, of just chipping away and trying to mature and grow
Right.
up and, not only raise our kids, but still be active in ministry. And, we
Right.
talk to each other on a personal level that's,
Right.
you know, semi outside of our children, but as people, we're able to be friends as well as,
Correct.
co-parenting. It doesn't have to be a war zone, 10 years
Right.
later.
Right. And you know, and so okay, well then call. We have somebody who said they got something to say, but you
Right.
can call. The number 762-533-0166.
And or post your comment question.
Yeah. Or if you don't want to, you can also post your comment and we can try to our best to answer it that way. Um, but again, yeah, so we um, there was a lot, and again, being in ministry, it was very hard. Um, and so after the I guess you can say the initial shock of, okay, I can't do this anymore. Um, then it was like, what do you do in ministry? Because now you're at the same church. Um, and again, okay, we have a caller. We have a caller.
Call from Alicia. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello, Alicia. You're live.
Hi, Prophet. Hi, Prophetess. How you guys doing?
Hi.
I do have a question. So for someone that's been like broken and damaged throughout a relationship, how do they go through a healing process and just being able to like trust anybody else after that?
Awesome. Do you want to answer that?
I can take a stab at it.
Go ahead.
First things first, I want to say is that you have to first off start to enjoy your own company. So many people, they go from one relationship to the next relationship to the next relationship, and they have no time to heal in between. And so what I would say is to really take that time to start to learn yourself and say, you know what, why did I accept someone that was dishonest? What happened? Like really just go back and evaluate what occurred in the situation, because some people are just moving on and they're still in shock, not really having taken time to figure out what exactly happened. Was it something that you overlooked, or was it just that person um was who they are? They didn't want the greatness. They didn't see the greatness on the inside of you. They didn't see what an asset you could be. And if that's the case, then you have to start to pray like, Lord, don't not only protect me from those type of people, but increase my discernment and increase, start to change your security standards and what you allow in your life and how soon. But I think my one biggest takeaway would be to make sure that you enjoy your own company and that you push yourself, challenge yourself to say, you know what, I'm not gonna live with the spirit of fear. I will trust again. Speak that thing out. The Bible says that we will eat the fruit of our lips. So just begin to speak that out, and don't, even though we may be afraid, even though we may need this person to build
Mm-hmm.
up trust, but be honest about what exactly you need, because some people really have no clue where their distrust stems from. And so me myself, even when I have unrest within my spirit, or there's something that I'm unsure about, or there's something that makes me anxious, I literally will start to do an internal inventory to say, Lord, what is that? And I keep going after it until I can see what it is that is upsetting me or causing me restlessness, and then I deal with it from there.
Right. And I also want to add, how you begin to get healed from that place is not only do you accept the I guess you would say the misfortunes or the discernment or the failures of yourself, really begin to accept the other person. Um, Sometimes people just don't have it at that time.
Right.
And I think that the bitterness left when number one, maturity sets in, because I believe that a lot of the times um, it made me a better person. It really did. It made me a little bit more sensitive to my spouse, partner's needs, you know, significant other. It made me a little bit more sensitive that way. It also you know, when you begin to open up and honesty with each other. I believe that her being honest with me, I believe, and trust me, it took us many years to get here. I'm talking about there was a time that we would get on the phone for the kids, and I would ask, "Hey, can you throw a pair of socks or something like that?" And I didn't like her response, so I would say, "The hell with you," and we would literally hang up the phones. Don't talk to me. There was a lot of that, bitterness of the relationship itself going sour. So what happens is when the bitterness sets in from the relationship, then the potential of good parenting is not there anymore. The potential of co-parenting is not there anymore because now you're so bitter with each other, and you're so and that your responses are nasty that you can't even talk without arguing. Next thing you know it, the things that you wanted for your children have never been discussed. So again, Alicia, I would say that to get over bitterness and to move on is to really come to a place of saying, hey, that was somebody who was supposed to help me in this life to become a better me, and I can bless them and God bless them, and try to find what I liked about them in the first place, and just work with that. Did that help?
That helped a lot. Thank you guys so much. That really helped.
You're welcome, and keep on watching us and keep following us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alicia.
I will. Thank you.
Awesome. Again, if there's another caller, we thank Alicia for that call. We're going to take a couple more calls before we get off. Again, the number is on the screen. I believe there's somebody else calling again. Try to call again. The number 762-533-0166. But that was awesome, though. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, I really would like to do a segment on our parenting styles.
Right.
But just to add, because you had said something vital about just remembering the good things about that person. And I just want to add that also as you get older, I think you start to learn what you will and will not accept. A lot of times people are so worried about being hurt that that's all they focus on. Figure out what your deal breakers are and then try to make other people feel comfortable and love them from that place. And if it's a deal breaker, be a friend and move on, but try to make people feel comfortable, because otherwise the lies and the manipulation takes root in your relationship.
Right. That's awesome. We have another caller that came through. Caller, you can call back in. We was having technical difficulties. Here it is.
Call from.
Hello, caller. How are you?
Hello, it's Kiva.
Hello, Akiba. Thank you for calling.
Hi.
Coming up with the prophet. What is your question or comment?
I have a comment and then a question. God bless you, Miss Prophetess Sheba.
God bless you.
So my comment is, I have this little motto or quote that I live by, and that is, just because a man tells me, oh, God said you're my wife, or I'm choosing you to be my wife, doesn't mean that I have to accept your proposal but also knowing that head on if that person's really for me or not. So I guess like also I'm used to objecting or being the rejecter. Like I reject everything that you say. And I kind of hurt feelings in the process. But my question is, if I am talking to someone who I feel like understands the, I guess, the single parenting issue because they're dealing with it, or the ministry side that I'm being built in, they kind of understand all that. So does that mean that I should pay attention to, I don't know exactly what I'm asking, but what should I pay attention to, even though I like the person and obviously they like me, but what should I pay attention to at this point?
Okay. You want to take a stab at it?
You can go first on that one.
Okay. So let me get this correct. You like a person and the person likes you, and you want to, in other words, you want to see if this is the one?
Not really see if it's the one, because I don't want to be the one to feel like I'm doing the pursuing because they pursued me first, but I don't want to make the mistake of being like, oh, I don't want to deal with you, even though you understand this, because that's what I'm used to doing. But just actually, because I enjoy the person, but I don't want to hurt the person because I'm used to doing the rejecting.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you have something for me?
So basically, it sounds to me like you have this defense mechanism that causes you to have a repetitious cycle. So you need to, I forget what the book is called, but I want to say that I have to look it up, but it talks about the spirit of rejection. And the spirit of rejection can go either way. And it's almost like a defense to say, you know what, let me kind of hurt you before you hurt me, type of thing. So what you need to do is actually go back, ask the Lord to take you back to where the trauma happened in your life that causes you to say, I'll only let you but so far before I kick you out. You know, I'll only let you get past this point before I tell you, excuse me, I have to go now, or no, I'm not interested. You know, you of course need to watch a man's actions, you know, watch what he does. It's not about what they say, but it's about what they do. But you know, you will never know if that man could be your potential mate if you're rejecting them before having enough time in. So I would really be curious to know, like, what makes you tick? What is that causes you to say, I don't want to go any further than here? And so you need to take some time, maybe write down your thoughts. I was delivered from a spirit of rage at the age of 15 because of the things that I had went through in my life and resentment that I had held on to, abuses that I had endured. And I was determined, like, after I got free and God literally took me back to that place and healed me. After that, there was such a love of God and such, like, literally the world became a brighter place that day because he freed me and he took the burden, the weight that the enemy tried to come and put on me as a 7-year-old child, you know, through the abuse that I had endured. And honestly, if God didn't see fit to deliver me at that time, I probably would have been even worse off than some of the stuff that I had been through in my later adult life. But, you know, there's got to be something there that you've gone through, some situation with men or familial ties that cause you to say, you know, I'm only going to go but so far and let me hurt you before you hurt me. You have to be healed. And, you know, if people's actions don't line up, it's okay to kindly tell them and hold them accountable. But, you know, the truth doesn't have to be harsh. We're told to tell the truth in love. So I would just start little by little, keeping yourself accountable for doing something different. And if that doesn't work, you know, have an accountability partner. You know, ask the people around you to say, you know what, I need to do something different, and this is my goal, and I'll come back and report to you and tell you how I'm changing, because change is good, but it's not easy.
Right. Okay. Again, thank you for calling in, Akiba, and keep watching us.
Thank you.
God bless you. Good night.
So also, yeah, so that was also what you said. Again, a lot of people don't know that you said something so profound, is that there was a lot of places that you were being delivered from, but there was a lot of places that I was being delivered from. And that was almost what attracted us to each other, because of our hurt place, we thought that we can be a healing to each other.
Right.
But then it also became a weapon against each other.
Yes.
Because although we loved the fact that we were hurt, and we loved the fact that, you know, our down place, you know, our areas, but it created a distrust that both of us had. You know, she had a past with, you know, although I loved her because, you know, she had a past, but the same thing, that her past also made me nervous. And I had a past, and although she loved me because of my past, and she knew that I wasn't perfect, I just needed love, but then at the same time, you know, the distrust was there. And so, would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It almost becomes more detrimental, you know, when you don't, when you're not fully mature, I'll say, when you're not mature to actually understand how much power you possess when you know the deep and intimate things about another person, you know?
Right.
There has to be even boundaries in marriage to say, you know what, we can go a lot of places, but we can't go there.
Right. We want to answer this last question, and we're going to go off the air for tonight. And the question is, what happens when only one person is forgiven, yet the other isn't, and plays victim per se, and only focuses on the breakup in general, even when they know it's because of their lies and actions? I would say that you can only be responsible for yourself. And a lot of the times, I've noticed that when people play victim, it's because of their own insecurities of being hurt.
Amen.
Within themselves. So they rather just go on ahead and say, hey, you know, they hurt me, I didn't do anything to deserve that. I believe that actions also come with acceptance of actions comes also with maturity. You know, and so again, a lot of people, I know one time I dated someone who was very narcissistic. And I found that they were narcissistic people think they're perfect at everything. And so what happened is failures to them suggest weakness, and they don't like that. And so a lot of the times you have to look at sometimes that people have weaknesses that they don't like, and it's more easier to say play victim than to say they've made a mistake. Would you so again, you cannot control people's actions. The only thing you can do is really just forgive them where they are and leave them where they are. Would you like to add to that?
I definitely agree. Typically, people who are like that tend to be manipulative.
Right.
They tend to be people who were never held responsible for their actions. They typically are people who were not taught to have to apologize and be humbled. And there's nothing you can do for those people. The only lesson would be the lesson of time in life, and they will eventually meet their match. But you know, the one thing I want to warrant the other side, which is the other person who's trying to forgive and make things work. Don't you sit in that abuse, because that's literally a form of manipulation to almost guilt you into staying or guilt you into feeling bad for them. And that's something that you cannot do. You don't live your life that way. It's a terrible, terrible trap. You know, go the opposite direction. And that's the thing. Some people are afraid in their relationships to be separate until that you can use separation as a powerful tool when it's done correctly to say, you know what, I'm leaving until you reevaluate and get yourself together and grow up, and then we can counsel our way back to each other if it's meant to be. But you know, because there's that individual responsibility to take, you know, once you isolate a person and leave them to their own devices, at some point they have got to deal. So remove yourself from the equation. It doesn't mean that it has to be the end of your love journey, but for the moment until they get themselves together and take responsibility, you need to have a peace of mind and be in a state of peace.
Awesome. Thank you again, Sheba Mitchell.
Thank you
for coming on. Awesome. We will try again. We're going to go a little bit deeper and a little bit dealing with life after divorce, being friends and things of that nature. So again, I want to thank all of my viewers for tuning in, and I want to thank you for coming on as well.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you guys soon, prayerfully.
All right then. Yep. So again, we want to tell everybody thanks again for coming on to tuning in to Coming Up with the Prophet. I want you guys to continue to follow me. I want you to like, share again, share with everyone. Again, thank you again. This is Coming Up with the Prophet on the segment of Keeping It Real with the Prophet. You can also follow my YouTube page, subscribe to my YouTube page, which is Coming Up with the Prophet, or you can type in Cooking with the Prophet, and you can also follow me on Facebook itself with Prophet Evan Majors Ministries. If you are in the Atlanta area, please come by the New Destiny Global Ministries. This week is our prophetic forecast starting tomorrow at 7:30 nightly, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday. We have some awesome prophets that are going to be there for our forecast. Again, it is this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the New Destiny Global Ministries, 1311 Fulton Industrial, Atlanta, Georgia, Northwest. God bless you again. The prophet loves you.